بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Today inshallah we are going to take Flying High 4. Inshallah we are going to start unit 7. Unit 7 lesson 1 at page number 58. Try to open your box at page 58. You will find your lesson at this page. So today inshallah we are going to start a new unit which is about free time. But first I want to ask you, what is your favorite sport or activity? What is your favorite sport or activity that you want to do at your free time? Here we have, I'm very sure, or I guarantee every person has a hobby or an activity, a favorite activity that he used to do in his free or in her free time. So try to answer this question. Do you practice your favorite sport regularly? Are you a kind of person that used to practice his sport or his favorite sport regularly? There are an endless list from different kinds of sport that you can do them indoor or outdoor. Look at the page. Here we have a picture. I want from you to look at the picture and explain or try to describe what can you see at this picture. What can you see at this picture? Here we have, what kind of animals do we have here? We have horses. So we have horses, and what other things can we are there in this picture? We have two men. What are they doing? What do you think they are doing? They are riding the horses. So these two men are riding the horses. What kind of sport is this? Or what kind of sport does this picture show? This picture shows a very important or very interesting sport, which is racing, horse racing. Before reading the passage about this topic, I want from you to grab any notebook and try to write down what do you know about this sport. How much do you know about it? How much do you know about horse racing? Supposed to be an activity for writing. You have to write the whole information that you know about horse racing. Here we have, supposed to be in the class, so in pairs write down any information you know about this sport, then read the text quickly and add any new facts to your list. This kind of exercise or this kind of practice examine your information or examine your knowledge before reading test. So I suppose you all wrote or write the information that you know about horse racing. Now we are going to read the text, but first when you read any text, any article, any kind of text, don't accept that you are going to understand every single details. This is difficult for you. But try to take a general look. Try to take a general idea about the whole text or the whole article. From the title itself, you can find out what is the text about. What is it about? Look at the title here, Horse Racing and Saudi Arabia. This article talks about horse racing, which is اللي هو سباق الخيل, and Saudi Arabia. So there is a very deep connection between this kind of sport and Saudi Arabia. So here we are going to read more about this topic. It's about horse racing and Saudi Arabia. The first reading, you are going to read to write question to match these answers about the text. This is the first practice at the text. So we read for this reason to list or to find out the question, not the answer. I know it's strange practice or strange exercise. You don't use to do so to do or to find out question instead of find out answer. So this kind of exercise examine your ability to form a question, your ability to form تكوين السؤال. How can you are going to form a question? So you are it's easy, but the most important thing is to look at the answer. Why we have to look at the answer? Because the answer itself, we can find the answer, then we can form the question. We have about 8 answers, and we are going to look at or to find out the question which is related or which asked this answer. So in this case, you have to first to do also specific steps. You have to find out here, this one is number. So there is a number. You have to find out or to look for numbers in this passage. And which number? Number of years. So the question asks about a period of time. When we ask about a period of time, we have to use a question word which is asked about period time. So this is the first thing. The second thing, you have to do it or to divide the text into parts. Here we have horse racing is one of the most ancient sport in the world, dating about 6,500 years to the time when Asian nomadic tribesmen domesticated the horse. Many of the world's high quality race horses are bred in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Why is this? In fact, the tradition of horse breeding and horsemanship flourish in Saudi Arabia because it is home to a special breed of horse. The Arabian horses are thought to be the oldest of purebred horses and are famous for their speed, endurance, and intelligence. They were first used by the tribes of Najd Plateau and are highly adapted desert conditions. Horse breeding is backed by the royal family of Saudi Arabia, and the late King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud owns over 1,000 horses across several stables. He owns thoroughbreds and Arabian horses bred for horse racing, horse shows, and horse jumping. Some owners of purebred Arabian horses can recount to you the bloodline of their horse for hundreds of years. Can you imagine? But the Riyadh Equestrian Club in Riyadh, in the authority for the written registration of pure Arabian horses, and heads research into the breeding of pure Arabian horses. Horse racing is also synonymous with the culture and tradition of Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, particularly the flag race. This is a race where the horses and jockeys do not have to jump fences. Traditionally, jockeys in some races rode bareback and barefoot, but now a saddle and shoes are compulsory for all races. The new track at Janadriya, just outside Riyadh, accommodates 5,000 race goers, and the high point in the racing calendar in Saudi Arabia is the King's Cup. So this is the passage. I hope you all understand what is it about. As I told you before, it's not necessary to know every single word, but you have to know the general idea, some details which is very important in this passage. Let's do the exercise. As I told you, it's not similar. احنا متعودين ان نطلع اجابه من اسئله او في اسئله we look for the answers, but in this exercise here we have answers already, but we are going to form a question. You have to be very careful when you write the question word. The question word is very important. Why do you think the question word is important? Because when you, for example, you know what kind of question do we have to write, but you don't know which question word. For that reason, I ask you to concentrate on the answer itself to find out what question word shall we use. For 6,500 years, let's search this number. Here we have 6,005 years. So the answer, so the question, I'm sorry, أنا زي ما قلت لكم, it talks about years. إذا مدة زمنية. Which question word shall we use when we ask about a period of time? So here we have to use for or how long. How long here, horses racing, or is horse racing one of the most, so how long has horse racing existed? How long? منذ متى كان الهوس أو وجد الهورس racing? So for 6,500 years. This is the first question. إذا لما نسأل عن مدة زمنية أو فترة زمنية نستخدم how long. ما نسأل عن الزمن. لما نسأل عن الزمن we have to use when. But when we ask about a period of time we have to use how long. So the answer number 2, in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Here we have in Saudi Arabia and a Gulf. Country, place. So when we are going to ask about country and place, we have to use the question word which asked about country or place in general, which is where. So where, this is the beginning of our question. Let's try to find out this phrase in the passage. In Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Where is the phrase here? Look at this part. In Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. How can I form my question? We have to start with question word when. Let's read the whole phrase. Many of the world's highest quality race horses are bred in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. So where are the high quality or the highest quality or the world's highest quality of horses? So this is the next answer. Where are many of the world's highest quality race horse bred? Then to form a question from a given answer, زي ما قلت لكم, you have to look at the answer, try to identify the answer itself. Is it a place? Is it a time? Is it a person? To start your question with the correct question word. The next one here, because it is the home of the Arabian horse. Because it is the home of Arabian horse. So what do you think is this? What kind of answer is this? This is a reason. When we have a reason, it means that we have a question before. We have a question asked about a reason. So let's try what kind of question asked about reason. What do you think when we have a reason? When I say, for example, because it means that someone asked me why. So why is the correct question word. Then try to find the same phrase here, because it is the home of the Arabian horse. Here is why is that. It means that because it is the home of Arabian. So the question will be, why does horse breeding flourish in Saudi Arabia? So here Arabian horses are thought to be oldest purebred horses. No, not that, not this. Here, this part, in traditional horse breeding and horsemanship flourish in Saudi Arabia because it's home to special breed of horses. So this is the question, why does horse breeding flourish in Saudi Arabia? Look at the fourth answer, their speed, endurance, and intelligence. Their speed, endurance, and intelligence. There is qualifications. There is a list of qualifications. When we have a list of qualification, it means that we answer about the quality or quantity or الكيفية. So let's find out this phrase, their speed, endurance, and intelligence. Here we have Arabian horses are thought to be the oldest of pure horse and famous of their endurance and intelligent and speed, or speed, endurance, and intelligence. So the question will be sorry, what are Arabian horses famous for? What are? So when we have here qualifications, their speed, endurance, intelligence. So we have to ask about what are Arabian horses famous for. Look at the next answer. Approximately 1,000 horses. So here we have numbers. We have numbers. Look at, try to find out numbers in this passage. Here we have the late King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud owns over 1,000 horses across several stables. So when we have a numbers and we want to ask about numbers, we have to choose or to start our question with how many. How many. عدد. لما نسأل عن عدد دائما نستخدم how many. So the answer here is supposed to be how many. How many horses does Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud own? So you have to form زي ما انتم شايفين هنا. طبعا we start with question word how many, then horses, then helping verb, does King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud own? The next here, it keeps a written register of purebred Arabian horses, and he heads research into the breeding of Arabian horses. Let's find or let's look for this phrase in this passage. So this phrase, it keeps a written register. So this is the phrase. This one, so it keeps a written register. We have to put the question word, then helping verb. After that, we complete the same phrase. It will be like this. What does the Riyadh Equestrian Club in Riyadh do? The one before the last, they rode bareback and barefoot. So let's find out, or let's look for this phrase. So traditionally, jockeys in some races rode bareback and barefoot. كانوا قديما يمتطون الخيول بدون سرج ولا حذوة حصان. So how did jockeys ride? احنا نسأل عن الكيفية، كيف كانوا يمتطون الحصن. how did traditionally في القديم. so هنا استخدمنا ال past tense of the helping verb. how did jockeys ride traditionally in Saudi Arabia? They rode bareback, and this is the answer. The last one is the King's Cup. The King's Cup. Let's find let's look for this phrase. Here we have the King's Cup. The high point in the racing calendar in Saudi Arabia is the King Cup. So the King Cup, it's what? It's thing. So we have to choose the question word which indicate or which ask about thing. So what is the high point in the racing calendar? So what is the highest point in the racing calendar in Saudi Arabia? And never ever 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 include the answer with the question. Of course, don't forget to stop at the part of the answer. So when you are going to form the question here, put the question word, the helping verb which is suitable for the the tense of the sentence, then stop until you reach the answer. Don't include your answer with the question itself. So this is the passage and this is the exercise. It's very good exercise. About myself, I like it because it's for advanced student and it's examine their ability to form a question, to choose a question word, to choose the correct tense. And if you have a time, you can, if it's not clear, you can write it from this. Try to write it. Here it is. The first one is, how long has horse racing existed? Because the answer was a period of time. Where are many of the world's highest quality race horses bred? Here is, because the answer was a place, so we choose where. What are Arabian horses famous for? There are qualifications, so we use what. What are Arabian horses famous for? This is the same. And how many horses does King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud own? How many? Because we have numbers. For that reason, we have to use how many, because we are asking about numbers. What does the Riyadh Equestrian Club in Riyadh do? We have action, so we ask about what and how did. How. تسأل عن الكيفية دائما. And what is the high point in the racing calendar in Saudi Arabia? This is our lesson for today. I hope you all get benefit from it. And we have, as I told you, discussed one of the most interesting kind of sport, which is horse racing. This is for everything for today. Thanks for joining me, and goodbye. Teacher Shahinaz.